Let's turn our attention to a pivotal moment in global diplomacy. The G7 summit in Canada, happening from the 15th to the 17th of this month, and India's unexpected role in it. You might already know that India wasn't initially invited, and I even made a video breaking down why, pointing to strained diplomatic ties with the U.S., largely due to American pressure following Operation Sindoor. Tensions between the Trump administration and the Modi government were palpable, driven by several complex factors. But today, there's a shift, a success story in the making, as India-U.S. relations seem to be finding their way back to solid ground, with Canada extending an invitation to India under U.S. influence. Let's rewind a bit. After Operation Sindoor, an Indian delegation representing all political parties traveled to meet American diplomats to explain the operation. But they were met with silence. No one was willing to engage. Instead, a last-minute conference was thrown together at the Indian consulate, where Shashi Tharoor spoke, highlighting the disarray among American diplomats. Just a few days ago, Indian media reported that our Prime Minister was unlikely to attend the G7 due to this diplomatic chill. But then things changed. Global news, data, and an insightful interview by U.S. Trade Secretary Howard Lutnik with the Indian diaspora, business leaders of Indian origin in the U.S., shed light on a warming relationship. Before we unpack that interview, there's another critical piece to this puzzle. Post-Operation Sindoor, India's national security advisor, along with a 12-member team, was set to visit Russia to discuss the S-400 deal and other arms agreements. That trip didn't just get postponed, it was cancelled outright, a direct result of the deteriorating India-U.S. relationship. Now, let's turn to Howard Lutnik's interview, where, for the first time, a senior U.S. official, the Trade Secretary, equivalent to India's Commerce Minister, openly declared the U.S.'s commitment to strengthening ties with India. During Trump's inauguration, India's Prime Minister was given a prominent platform, second only to Israel, signaling a desire for deeper people-to-people connections and broader engagement. The U.S. sees India as the strongest counterbalance to China in the region, stating clearly that India's growth is in America's interest. Lutnik didn't shy away from addressing disagreements. He acknowledged that while the US and India don't see eye to eye on everything, India remains America's largest trade partner, with its technological contributions forming the backbone of the US economy. He highlighted critical military technologies like jet engines, Raptor drones, and howitzer guns supplied by the US, which Russia simply can't match. Russian technology, he argued, is outdated and unreliable, as evidenced in recent conflicts. This brings us to a sticking point. Why does India continue to buy Russian military hardware? Lutnik called these purchases jewelry, suggesting they're ornamental compared to the advanced technology the US provides. This perspective explains why the National Security Advisor's Russia trip was scrapped. Consider this. After Operation Sindoor, Russia's Vladimir Putin and Foreign Minister Lavrov publicly offered India joint production of the S-500, not just the S-400, and a fifth-generation fighter aircraft with full technology transfer. Yet, India stayed silent. Why? Lutnik's point about the unreliability of Russian equipment hits home. Official Russian records from the Ukraine war reveal staggering losses, nearly 100,000 personnel and 384 aircraft in just 6 months. India's security experts, including the National Security Advisor and global defense analysts, have advised against relying on Russian gear. This isn't about sentiment, it's about national security. India needs modern, reliable technology, like the US-supplied engine for our advanced medium combat aircraft, set for trial runs by 2030 under private companies monitored by HAL. Russian engines like the Su-57 parked 4,000 kilometers from conflict zones simply don't measure up. This shift has led to a significant change under US pressure. India has drastically reduced its major military purchases from Russia. While spare parts and smaller deals may continue, large-scale acquisitions are off the table. The US wants India to buy from America or its allies, aligning with their business interests. Lutnik emphasized that the US provides advanced technology, hosts the most Indian students, and grants the majority of H-1B visas to Indians. His question was clear. With all this support, why shouldn't India trust the US? This reasoning, backed by diplomatic pressure, led to Canada inviting India to the G7. Indian diplomacy has also played a pivotal role. Recent reports from outlets like the Economic Times confirm that a U.S. trade team is in India, and both sides have agreed to reduce tariffs significantly. However, challenges remain. If American farm products flood our market, Indian farmers could suffer. The U.S. is also pushing for oil trade, a major sector for them, and India must protect its interests in any deal. This G7 invitation, spurred by U.S. influence, could also mend India-Canada relations, which have been strained. The summit offers India a platform to engage with global leaders, hold back-to-back meetings, isolate Pakistan, and highlight issues like Operation Sindoor and the Pulwama attack. It's a golden opportunity for our Prime Minister. Post-Operation Sindoor, Indian delegations visited nearly 20 countries, but only 2 supported India's actions, while others, influenced by the US, called for restraint. As the US draws closer to India, others will follow, given America's pivotal role in global geopolitics, economics, and strategy. But here's my take. Never fully trust the US. Their interests come first, and India must approach this relationship tactically with a clear policy to safeguard our own priorities. Only a calculated strategy will ensure India maintains leverage in this evolving partnership.